Hello and welcome back to CodeBlocks. This is lesson 6 in the series. In this tutorial, we're going to be talking about CodeBlocks ribbons. In the last tutorial, we talked about the CodeBlocks environment and how we can alter the settings. And this tutorial, we're going to be looking at each ribbon in CodeBlock and how we can alter and use the ribbons. I feel this tutorial might take a long time, so I have to split the tutorial into two. And in this part of the tutorial, we're going to be talking about 3 out of the ribbons that we have. We're going to be talking about our menu bar. Here you have a lot of couple of options for us to edit our work, to save our projects and the likes. And we're also talking about main toolbar, which is also an importance that we're going to be using very well as a developer, as a programmer using CodeBlocks. And lastly, we're going to talk about the debugger toolbar. This is very important. We have to debug our code. Most often, after writing a lot of codes, we have to debug it. So we're going to be using this and some other shortcuts very well as a developer using CodeBlocks. Now let's talk about our menu bar. So the first bar here in our ribbon, this is the menu bar. Here we have file, edit, view, search, project, build, up to help. This is basically what we refer to as our menu bar. Now, the first one, which is file. Main links. This file contains links to create a new project, to open an already existing project, to save file, to save project, to save workspace, almost to save everything. So it's on this option for closing a single file, closing a project, or closing entire workspace. So other options in file are to print, export, and quit the CodeBlocks. As you can see here, you can open recent files, save projects, save everything in our project. We can also quit. Now that's for our file. Now in edit, this way we can change our history. We can swap either source file. We're going to be seeing most of this later, how to go about that. We can do our end of line mode, what's supposed to be printed out at the end of our line. We can toggle comments, bring in comments. Take for example, if you click on comments, you can see it brings us comments. You can see it comments this line. After I click on comments, let's assume I want to comment this particular line too. I can just highlight on it and go to edit and click on comment. So it's going to comment this line. So these are one of the things we use edit. So we can also see a lot of other options in edit: complete code, autocomplete, rename symbols, and others. So we are going to be seeing a couple of these things later in our tutorial. We also have we have looked at some part of this in the last tutorial, how to change our perspective. We can some of the things that are not displayed there, we can bring them in through view. We can open our code snippet, bring it out. We can bring out our thread search here. We can bring out our to-do list. And a lot of couple options that we can do with view. If you are a C++ programmer or a C programmer, you're going to be needing most of this. And here we can search, we can look for anything in our project, in our file, in our workspace. We can look for a particular word, we can look for find next word in the line, we can look for thread search, we can replace a particular word, we can replace in files, we can go to a particular line on our project. And this for our project where we have a lot of options to navigate through our project. We can add files to our project from here. Inside the files we can add in our project. We can check our notes. We are going to be taking a look at this note particularly later in the tutorial. The properties of our projects, we can repass our current project here. So to build this way, we can build and run our project. If you're a C programmer or a C++ programmer, you're going to be using most of this. Now these are debug options where we can start and continue and add our breakpoint for debugging. And this is majorly for Fortran. This WX means you're going to be using most of this when we reach GUI programming. And these are our tools. You can configure our tools. This these are plugins where you can download different plugins. C++ make provision for a lot of plugins. These are BYO games, library finder, coders query, headers fixup, this dev pack, updated installer. You can actually download most of these plugins if they didn't come with CodeBlocks. And these are doxy block. We see a couple of options here too. You can comment out our projects, something like this. You can comment it out and you can run HTML, you can open preferences and load settings templates. And now these are our settings. We have a lot of work to do here. We are going to be looking at how we can edit our environment, editor, compiler, debugger, global variable scripting, and edit startup. And this app you can find it, you can check about. We're going to see a lot of things about CodeBlocks, tips on how to use CodeBlocks, and some certain plugins. As you can see here also, we can also navigate through that here. You see a lot of plugins that are available for us on CodeBlocks. So we are going to be seeing most of this later in the tutorial and how to use most of these options. This is our main toolbar. This particular part down to R, that's our main toolbar. Here, this is new file. We can create another file. We actually see that save from file where we can create file. So we can also go through our main toolbar by clicking on new file. We have open. We can open files, the one we already save on our project and our system. Here we can save our project. Here is for save everything. We can save all our files here. Here is for undo. If you are doing any changes and you want to undo it, you can undo our changes here. And here is redo. Here's where you can cut. And there is copy. And we have our paste here. So you're going to be find a lot of this option quite handy. Here we can also do some search. We can look for a file. Let's say we want to look for main. Now you can see it displays main here. As where you can find our file. So it's going to display it also in our search, but we're going to be seeing most of this later in the tutorial, how to use our thread search. So you can see it displays mains here. So if you have a couple of mains or other keyword that we search, it's going to list out all the occurrences in our thread search. We are going to be seeing this majorly in the future tutorials. And here we can find and replace. If you're a programmer coding with C++ or C, you're going to be needing most of this in the main menu toolbar. Now what we have here is a debug toolbar. What we have here is a debugger toolbar. We use debug toolbar to debug our current or selected projects. Right from here we have our build, where we can build our projects. We can run our projects here. We can run and build our projects here, and we can rebuild. We can abort a particular project, a particular process. If you are running a project, you can choose to abort it. Now this build target to build or release. You are going to be seeing the use of this build and release later in the tutorial. Now here we can start our debug or continue. We can run to cursor. If you are a programmer, you are going to know most of all this. Next line, step into how to use our debugger, our breakpoints, and how to stop debugger, how to open the debugging window, and various information about the debugger is going to be provided in this debugger toolbar. We are going to be using this majorly in the future tutorials. So thank you for joining us in this tutorial, and I'm going to see you in the next tutorial.